Hey.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
I am good-ish. How are you doing?
I'm okay. I'm good. I'm pretty good.
I'm alive.
It's been good. Things have been good. Yeah.
The sun comes up and it goes down.
And then it goes down.
And then I see the moon sometimes and it rains. So plants get fed.
Is this the weather report? Photosynthesis?
Photosynthesis.
Well, that is not the topic for today. The topic
Not yet.
for today is about non-traditional careers.
Yee.
So, careers, to be honest. So this week, we wanted to talk about non-traditional careers because typically, and don't hate me for this, but typically, folks from Farron. I don't even know what the hell that means.
Fahrenheit.
Fahrenheit 451.
Yes.
I was going to say 900. Whatever. We're not talking about that. But typically, folks who come from foreign households aren't really allowed to like chase their dreams because they're seen as unrealistic. So we're just talking about how there's this pressure of, you know, usually you're expected to become a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer and like not pursue becoming like an artist or like an educator because then, you know, unless you're becoming a professor, then there's like no money and no point. You know what I mean? There's like no pride in that. Sorry, just saying how it's been feeling.
Facts.
So, for those of us who have been shamed for pursuing a creative career,
Shame.
Shame.
Get the bell.
There's this huge paradox of this dilemma for our generation being people who come from, you know, parents who come to America for the American dream, but then we're not allowed to fulfill our dreams, right? Or like chase our dreams because all that we're taught and what we know is, okay, we're here, we're surviving, life's great. Now you have all this opportunity to go do stuff. So now you are obliged to become the things that I want you to become rather than for you to do the things that what you want to actually do.
Yeah.
You know? For those of us who are not following the whole, okay, I got a degree, now I'm gonna get married, and then I'm just gonna like do this for the rest of my life.
Okay, hold on. You don't get a degree to get married. You get a degree.
Some people do.
Okay, that's your MRS degree.
What's that?
It's Mrs. It's
oh.
But you got to get a degree to get a job. Like,
well, yeah, but the thing is, some people go to college and they find the loves of their lives, and then somehow they like get a job and they get married too.
Okay.
Somehow. Yeah.
Connects.
And then they end up buying a house. So you know what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying I'm not trying to do that because I am trying to do that.
Get a dog, have a yard.
I don't know about a dog.
Nice things.
But, you know, like, yeah, getting married would be cool. Yeah. And, like, having a house would be cool. But also, like, I am living a non-traditional ass life.
Damn right.
You know? But I can also have traditional things. Yeah. By, like, doing things differently.
What is non-traditional?
Exactly. So let's get into that. Simon, would you like to read the Merriam-Webster dictionary definition?
Merriam-Webster dictionary definition. So, non-traditional. I didn't even know that this was 100% what I was leading us into, but I'm glad it worked 100%. 100%.
What language was that?
That was Italian. Thank you, Stefania, for teaching.
Okay.
So the definition is new and different from an established norm, established norm, custom, or method. So, basically, just not the cultural norm. Straying away against the grain, as one might say.
Against the grain.
Yeah.
I didn't learn that phrase until like senior year of high school.
Mr. Wright.
Shout out to Mr. Wright.
That's who taught us.
Hey-o.
Yeah, he asked us, does anyone know this? And we all said,
and we
nope.
Said, no. He said, journal about it for 5 minutes. We were like, a time that I went against the grain?
No.
I was thinking about like wheat.
Right now.
Just like floating in the wind and making bread. That's what I was thinking.
I was imagining like rice, but like one of them.
So literal.
Yeah,
I thought of that scene when Mulan is like eating the bowl of rice with each single grain of rice with the fucking chopsticks. Amazing. That's going against the grain.
Yes.
Or is it? That sounds super traditional, actually.
Wait.
Anyways, so we wanted to define that, and we're also going to define what a career is, in case you don't know.
Just in case.
A career, the noun,
The
because
noun.
there are two definitions, is an occupation undertaken for a significant period of a person's life with opportunities for progress. But the verb to career means to move swiftly in an uncontrolled way in a specified direction.
Wow.
So speaking of directions, let's talk about how the turns have tabled.
Oh my gosh, it's my turn to table. Alrighty, Roo. So on this week's episode of How the Turns Have Tabled, it's basically my life story. So growing up, many of you might know this little tidbit about me because, you know, my whole life kind of changed. But I always wanted to be a veterinarian. And I loved animals. I always wanted a dog growing up. I never had one because I grew up in a frickin' apartment, so not a good place to have a dog. Mm-hmm. And then I went to college, and I was like, I'm going to be an animal science major, which honestly, I should have had some hindsight. Like, I barely got a B- in, like, AP Bio, which I did not deserve because I cheated the hell out of that class. Yeah. And then, like, didn't take any other AP science classes, and then was like, I'm going to be an animal science major. Yeah. Nope. Didn't think that through. Yeah, went to college, got a D in bio, got a C in chem, failed chem the next year, and was like, wow. I guess I'm not gonna.
This was not for me.
Yeah, I was like,
you said, you know what? I see animals as animals.
Like, yeah.
I see them as companions.
I was like, so you're not like patients. Yes.
Because if you were my patients, you'd probably die.
Yeah. So then I was giving up on everything, and I was like, I guess I'll just drop out of college, and yeah.
I didn't know it was that deep.
I didn't know what to do. I mean,
I remember us having conversations.
Yeah, for like 16 years.
But
I was
not
like,
about you dropping out.
Vet. Well, what else was I going to do? I literally told everyone in my whole life that I was going to do this one thing. And I'm like, I failed. And then I talked to my...
It's a dishonor on your family.
Basically. Sorry, Famulan. But I eventually came back to the light from the darkness. And the darkness. And I found my hall director, and I was just kind of like, what do I do? Because I'm going AWOL. I was like, I want to be a math major. I'm going to be a business major. I'm going to be a genetics major. I went literally everywhere. And then, but you know, the one place I didn't go? Theater. Because money and also stability.
Facts,
yeah,
snaps,
job stability.
snaps.
That is rough.
That's why everybody got like 6 jobs while they're trying to get their acting career together.
Seriously, and half of them are acting jobs that barely pay you.
Amen.
Like, take care of yourselves. God, drink Mucinex like it's juice.
No.
But
do not do that.
Anyways, so I ended up taking this quiz that was kind of like a career test, and it was like, you should do theater. And I was like, I already know that. And then they were just like, wow.
You said, tell me something I don't know.
Yeah, and then it was like, you should also do social work. And I was like, wow, that's
but then crazy. I also told you should do social work.
So it was like perfect timing. And then
you're like, the stars are aligned.
Yeah, and then I was just like, hell yeah. So then I started doing that again. So social workers don't really get paid that much. So I wasn't going to be making that 6-figure paycheck like veterinarians. But I also wouldn't have to go to school as much to graduate with a social work degree, since I wouldn't have to go to vet school immediately. Like, I could choose to go down an entirely different career path. And that changed my whole trajectory of, like, where my life would go.
True.
Because, like...
you could be in debt suffering right now.
Yeah, I always thought I'd be in grad school right now. Like, you know, that I'd have to be studying, like, how chemicals bond and, like,
and then this podcast would never exist.
It wouldn't. I'd be in another country or something studying animals.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
Well, thank God.
So imagine if I stayed on my career path. The turns have tabled, y'all.
Ding, 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 ding. Ding, 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 ding. Well, yeah, I mean, for me, it's funny because I remember when I was a little girl, like, in kindergarten, they make you draw, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? and I found this drawing that I drew. I wanted to be a ballet dancer, and like I kind of did that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like unintentionally, but I never like saw that as like a main actual thing I could do. Well, we'll get into the inaccessibility of the arts and dance world another time. But it's cool that I'm still able to do that. So it's kind of like I manifested that shit when I was like 6 years old.
Heck yeah.
Hey, yo.
Passions.
Make your kids visualize things.
Yeah.
Their dreams will come true.
Dream boards.
Just support them and help them get to the next level.
Positivity.
In a herm. Yeah, never in my life would I have been like, oh yeah, I'm gonna graduate and work a corporate ass job. Like, nah. Even though it's not even that corporate, but it's like kind of corporate. You know, corporate. People who listen, who work with me, y'all know.
Y'all know the real.
Y'all know. We on the real. Anna Hermst. Yes. So, like, this week, we have human beings for...
Ribbits! Yes!
It's been a minute since we've had a Rippets, so let's describe what Rippets is. Rippets is real people in the system. So we, I guess, are sticking with that title now, and we've said we're probably going to change it. But
never change it.
I guess we're sticking with it forever.
I love it.
So for this week, for our Rippets, we decided to interview two folks that we know, one from Simon's side, one from my side. Even though we both know them each, just in different circumstances. Simon, you want to give a little feedback on John?
Yes, a little intro on John Pimentel, my fabu. He is awesome. He is Brazilian. He is born 5 days after me. He is amazing, and I'm just gonna let whatever I did in the interview begin. Alrighty, Root. So we are here with Ribbits, doing it with John. I'm gonna let him introduce himself. Hello.
I'm just a normal person. My name's John. I went to school with Simon. That's about it.
Yeah. So, John, I would like to ask, first question, how do you identify? Like ethnically, gender, pronouns, anything like that?
I am a Latino male. I don't know. I don't do politics. That's about it.
Okay. I appreciate it. So, as I told you, this interview is about non-traditional jobs. First, I want to ask, career-wise, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Initially, as a kid, I wanted to be an architect. Quickly learned that I can't draw for life. So careers changed. Then I wanted to be a pilot. And then I found out I was colorblind. So, can't happen.
Oh.
Yeah, it's great life choices as a child. Just go shooting down the drain.
Wow. Okay. So, I was going to ask if, your family had any, influence on, your career choice.
Nope.
No?
No. Later on, wanted to, go into construction. They really did, push for it because construction workers, big in Latin communities are being able to fix up the house so that way you save money and you don't have to call anyone else. My family's notorious for it. My dad, my cousin do construction, they do lumber and carpentry, and then my uncle does plaster and junk removal. He knows how to put in tiles. He knows how to I guess help out with pretty much any small stuff. Then we have friends that are electricians and plumbers and sheetrocks, roofers. There's just a bunch of a lot of diversity in our friend group for the family, and just everyone pulls together and helps out whenever they can.
Do you feel like that's kind of where you got the idea for architect, since your family is in construction?
Probably. I never really thought about it after the fact I couldn't draw. I tried to make blueprints, when I was younger, but it's a lot harder than you think.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I can imagine. Fucking drawing is not easy, but people try. All right, so now to the fucking horrible question of all of them.
Oh.
Did you ever want to go to college?
Well, everyone, I feel wants to go to college initially, but as you get older, you find this college doesn't have the courses that I want, or this college is way out of my price range because me specifically, I didn't have like any parents to help back me up like financially, so it was pretty much whatever I could pay out of pocket or whatever FAFSA would give me, and that was nothing. So scholarships were my only go-to, and because I didn't do so great in school, and like, you know, I was never really like a school learner or school-based learner, I just never went to it. You know, instead I joined the military, and you know, hey, you know, they'll give me money to go to college.
Yeah.
They'll let me in pretty much anywhere after that. So that was my decision. You know, college was kind of like a no option.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, like, what do you think about college in general?
You know, if people want to go to college, I don't advise against it. Like, it's definitely good for like going into specific careers or like getting business knowledge or nursing, because you know, you can't be a doctor just because you say you're a doctor.
Yeah.
Even though, you know, everyone, you know, like, I'm a doctor, you know, I went to lit school. Cool. I don't know. There's a bunch of stuff. Like, you can't be a psychologist like my girlfriend Shayla without going to college. Small plug. Hello, sweetie, I love you. I don't know. Just people going to college doesn't necessarily like change anything for me. I definitely want to understand how people pay for college after they go to college, because that's a thing. I've seen all the memes and accurate depictions of, I went to college, have a master's degree, but my starter job is $16 an hour and doesn't cover my rent, my car insurance, or my payments on my bills. Then there's school loans still that you have to pay. So if you can do it, then GG, guy. I strongly hope the best for you, but me, no, not a thing for me.
Okay. So, you mentioned earlier how you went into the Army. So, I wanted to... Would you be able to, like, elaborate a little bit more on that? Like, kind of where you went after you graduated?
So, I enlisted in high school my senior year. Like, right at the beginning of the year, because I had quit my first job at like the airport. So, you know, I was trying to figure out things to do after high school. College wasn't in the books, so I went down to the Malden Recruiting Center. I talked to a couple of the guys there, and they were super helpful. They got me in, helped me do my ASFAB, and pick out my job, which was 88 Hotel, which is a cargo specialist. Big signing bonus, super good incentives, a lot of things in the contract that would help me out later on if I wanted to build a career in the military. I went to Fort Jackson like 3 days before my birthday, so that was kind of crappy because I spent it there, and it was not fun running 19 drills of everything. 19-mile run, 190 push-ups, 190 sit-ups. It was not a fun birthday. It was not great. There's my you know. I don't know, it was a lot of fun. I hurt myself there, so I had to come back a lot earlier than I expected. They told me I could go back if I wanted to, but I'd have to start from the very beginning, which is not what anyone wants to do if you join the military once. You know. Got back and tried to join the working world. You know, got my license a few days after or my permit, I should say, a few days after I got back. Ordered a lot of pizza. That was great. You know, you can't eat pizza at basic. There's no Popeyes, there's no KFC, no McDonald's. It's on there. It's on the base. You can see it. You just can't have it. So it's twice as bad. There was like a chicken restaurant somewhere on the base that like you could smell every once in a while, and it's down south. You know, you want southern chicken from the south, and you just can't have it at all. And it's so tempting. Just like, there was one guy that left the bunks on base and got to the gates of the like actual base doors. He snuck out in the middle of the night. No one noticed him, and he got to he was trying to escape and leave the military. And it was hilarious because the base is huge, and he did this purely off memory on the bus, where they tell you to put your head down the entire time.
Wow.
So it was kudos to him. He clearly wanted some food.
He didn't make it out?
No, they stopped him at the gate. There's no way to leave. It's the military. There's no getting out once you sign.
Damn. This is why we didn't win at Area 51, guys.
Big facts. Big facts. Too many guards. Too many guns. Not enough barbecuers.
But, so, like, after that, how has, like, your, like, career path changed?
Started working at Home Depot. That was fun. I got a lot of knowledge, like, construction-wise, like, extra stuff to, like, kind of, like, reinforce what I had already known. And I like working with my hands. It's great. It's a lot of, like, manual labor, which no one really is up for a lot of the time. But the pay is good. But also I can understand people's long-term wise, because, like, people that leave construction have, like, knee problems, back problems from, like, picking up all this weight, bending down, getting in small spaces, having to go, like, I've had to crawl into an attic. I've had to be in, like, a 2-foot high, like, crawl space on dirt or on, like, spray foam insulation, just crawling in, like, this weird space. You get a bunch of, like, dust and plaster in your lungs.
Yep.
Not to mention if you work on, like, old buildings, like, you can find
asbestos
exactly.
Yep.
Like, it's a lot. Like, there's the fiberglass insulation that it gets on your skin. You can get really itchy.
Yeah.
Fuck the Pink Panther insulation.
Oh my god.
Bro. But it's so good. It really keeps the heat in your house. I don't know. I'm just babbling right now.
Yeah.
I don't know. Construction's fun to me. I've always liked it. Working with my hands gives me the opportunity to learn more. I want to build my house eventually in North Carolina. You know that. Like, I figure this is practice.
Yeah. So have you been doing construction, like, ever since Home Depot?
I was doing construction even before that. Like, my dad, I should say, had his own company with our cousin. They dissolved the company now that they're not on terms. My dad went back into the union, so, like, he was in the union ever since he left Dunks in his, like, early 30s. And now he's back there finally. So he was in construction, managing people, doing, like, foreman work and, like, the managerial side. So I always wanted to ask him to get into the union, but that never happened. My cousin, Washington, he's a carpenter. He's been doing carpentry his whole life. Like, even in Brazil, when he was living there, he learned there. The electrician that I worked for, his dad was an electrician in Brazil, licensed and everything, came to America. His whole life he was learning electrical work. Him and his brother, like, I guess hated it in life. After he told me this, like, funny story. He was like, my brother shocked himself, like, working on like 2 outlets, and, like, they were low wattage, I guess, and he shocks himself somehow, and he's just like, fuck it, I give up. He left. He paid this person to take his job site from him and, like, quit electrical work there in that moment. He was just like, fuck this, I've had enough. So now he just paints. And I was like, okay.
Oh my god. First, are you currently employed?
Yes. I am a security guard at Alliance Security in Everett. We're hiring, by the way, guys. Just come by.
Shameless plug. Second, are you happy where you're currently employed?
Is anyone?
Wow, that was deep.
I'm not even trying to, like, go into existential crisis mode. It's just like, I don't know, it's a security job. I work nights, and no one likes working nights. Like, not 3 to 11 or, like, 3 to 2, like 11 p.m. till the next morning. Like, I get off at 7. The location where I'm at is just very... Our contract manager is very anal retentive. Like, he's like super into writing everything down as, like, an incident report, and for us that means having to fill out 2 or 3 forms of paperwork before we call it into the office and have to repeat everything to them so they can write it down, and then we get our incident report number. Then I have to leave it off in the morning, and then the next time we go in for our shift, we have to verify what we said, because half the time when it goes into the system initially, it gets lost or it doesn't, like, process correctly. So then we have to get a copy, which means I have to stay until the next morning, or they'll have to go and get a copy from the main building.
It just doesn't process.
It just doesn't go through the system. I have no idea why. I've had to do it like 4 times now, and it's annoying as hell.
Wow.
You know, like there was an incident in the parking lot that someone was 2 inches over the white line of their spot, and I had to create an incident report for it. You know, it's just, it's small things like that. Like no one's getting like hurt or bothered by it. There's still plenty of space to like move cars, but it's something I have to write down now.
Yeah, the policy needs to get enforced.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm the one that has to do it. Like there'll be a party or something, and I'll have a noise complaint from one of the sections of the building, and I'll have to go over there, verify, check, and if there's no noise, then I still have to make a report because someone called it in. But I'm like, I write down on the report, hey, there's no noise. Yep. Cool. That's it. Call it in, still have to get a report.
Wow.
It's just, it's a hassle. It's not like hard work, but it's tedious.
Yeah.
It's not worth 15. And that's the thing, contract jobs too, you know, like you get paid based on where you are and how much they're willing to pay you by hour. Like some places will pay you minimum, which is 12, and then some places, like depending if you're armed or not, will pay you maybe 18. The only people that get like steady, consistent pay are like the supervisors, and that means you have to have a license to carry and your license. So
carry a gun.
Yes, supervisors are always armed to security. So, because they have, if you're a supervisor at our company, you have to do like alarm response calls. And for those, you know, like if you're going into a building and you might have to wait for the police, depending if it's like broken or like, you know, just regularly locked and like broken into, you always want to make sure there's someone there to back you up. Okay. Yeah. So having a gun helps you out just a little bit.
Maybe. Okay. So then now we're moving into the final section of these little bits. So what do you want to do for a career?
I want to own my own construction company. Yeah. That's been a goal for a little while now. You know.
Are you doing anything to like make it happen?
Right now, I'm trying to build the trade skills mostly because if I can build those up, because I still need the hours. Like, what is it? For electrical work, you need 8,000 hours over 4 years of experience before you can even attempt to go for your license, which is a lot. It's called the like apprenticeship programs. You go in, like I have 500 hours in electrical and 500 hours in carpentry, so that's like a good starter, but it's not enough. Massachusetts has some pretty strict laws on it and how you take the test, how much of the test you have to pass, unlike the driver's like exam, like where you pass after 18, 19 questions and then it just auto shuts out the test. You have to pass like, I think it's 93% of the electrical exam and 85 or so for the carpentry, just because there's a little leeway because some of the codes are based on cities, you know. Like, yeah, just small stuff. A lot of knowledge needs to be like put in. Then I can go for like a general contracting license, which gives me the ability to get permits for plumbing, electrical, roofing, carpentry, pretty much anything I'd ever need to do. Yeah. But that's a lot of extra money, and you need the practice because there's a lot of stuff that you can get taught in books that aren't practical to use.
So it sounds like you've done like a shit ton of your research.
Yeah, I've put in a couple years of work. I don't know. It's I want to build a nice home eventually, like my final home. Live there for the rest of my life, you know. Yeah. So I want to do everything right and by the book and like not have to worry. But I'm learning the mass laws, which are not going to be very prominent in North Carolina. Like in North Carolina, I guess you don't need a permit for roofing or for carpentry as long as all the repairs are done by a person who has the skill and qualifications. You know, like if I'm like I have a handyman's license, shameless plug. So like I can go down there and do any carpentry work or any roofing work as long as the repairs are under 30 grand. And like electrical laws here in Mass, you can do them, like you can do everything in Mass with a permit. It has to be a permit, except for plumbing. plumbing is the only thing you can't do legally in Massachusetts. Like, you have to hire someone. Someone has to come out and do it for you, even though, like, even if you're, like, your own carpenter or your own plumber. Like, someone else has to come out and do it for you, which kind of sucks. But other than that, you can just, like, get a permit for your house, and then, boom, you can just DIY everything. You know?
Okay.
Do-it-yourselfers. We're the best. Not really.
All right. So I guess my last question is, in a perfect world, what would you be doing for work?
I would be a fighter pilot, 100%. I want to be in the skies, flying and shooting shit down. It sounds really cool, really fun, and really fast. And I like speed. That or a NASCAR racer, to be honest, because that'd be fun too. I just get spinning circles at 200 plus miles an hour. Just fuck it, let's do it. I'm getting paid and sponsored by Mountain Dew. Woo!
You'd think that they would have something by now so that colorblind people could be fucking pilots. Like,
I mean, you can still be a pilot. You just can't work, like, commercially. You can be, like, a private, like, you could own your own private plane and a private strip to, like, house it and, like, take people out with your own company. But you'd have to put, like, an advisory, like, hey, I'm colorblind in, like, the pamphlets, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. That's a lot of extra work, and I don't want to buy a plane.
True.
Because that's money.
Yeah.
I'd want to buy a submarine. I'm not gonna use it, but it'd be cool to have.
Just have a submarine chilling in your yard.
Why not? It's a submarine. I now have it. Global warming, place floods. I'm set.
All right, I actually completely understand now. Like,
I'm straight.
Yep,
I'm chill.
I will donate to the submarine fund.
Submarine fund can be found at my GoFundMe page.
Alrighty. Well, thank you, John. That was all my questions. Do you have anything that you would like to say?
Definitely listen to the Freitae Effect. You know, it's great. No like pressure here on the plugs, but it's a really good show, and I vouch for Simon and Azeb because I've seen them grow as people. More Simon than Azeb, but it's a great show. It's a good listen.
Thank you, John. Alrighty, Rue. So I'll sneak us back to the show, however the hell they're gonna do it whenever we're recording this. Back at you guys. And now we are back from John's interview. Azeb.
Honestly, thanks. That was like really insightful, and he's like so passionate. It was really cute to like actually hear John talk about like life as an adult. I was like, oh my god, you're a person.
Oh yeah.
Because I only like know him as like your friend, but also like, you know, just like at parties and stuff, and we never talk about anything serious. So I was like, oh my god, like wow, it's so nice to hear that.
Oh yeah.
I thought it was very, very interesting. That all of his career aspirations had to do with something that was kinesthetic. So like that, what that means is I was thinking about learning styles while I was hearing him talk. And to be a kinesthetic learner is somebody who uses visual or auditory like study techniques to produce multisensory learning, which sounded really like extra as hell, but like, you know, to touch things and to like maneuver, to actually physically do things to learn. So I thought it was cool that he wanted to be an architect because he considered that like building, and then was like, oh no, I want to be a pilot because again, another handy thing, right? And then ended up becoming a construction worker, and then into like security. And even his connection to like Latinos in construction, and how it was like affiliated with like his family, and how he was like prideful of that, rather than being like, yeah, we do like a blue collar job, you know what I mean? Like, and like not seeing it as like a bottom feeder kind of thing, and just kind of being like, oh yeah, like we manually create things, and how it's like, you know, culturally a thing, culturally a thing versus like stereotypically being a thing, you know what I mean?
Also being like a useful tool to rely on when you need to fix stuff in your own house. Facts. And you don't have to pay someone. Like, except for like a plumber, which he like brings up later, that like some stuff you do need a licensed professional, but like if you can do it yourself, and like, you know, even though it's a job that some people don't want to do, like there's a way to look at it to just be like, yeah, I can actually provide for my own family. Like,
yeah. And then I really liked how when you asked him like, oh, did you go to college? And then he described like, you know, one of the other ways that you can like find your way into college is like joining the military, which is an avenue that most people that we know that we went to high school with would probably end up doing because you know, like it's like the most affordable way that you could probably do it, right? But then again, it takes you much longer to be able to get done with school when you're doing that because you're doing the military and school, you know what I mean? So that's like the stuff they don't tell you ahead of time when you're in high school, when they're recruiting you, is like, oh yeah, you can go to college, but you have to do military first. You know what I mean? Like,
well, you don't understand it. Like, you know, like
well,
they'll
yeah,
tell
you're not
you like,
thinking about
oh, well,
it.
you're doing this big commitment and it's going to give you all these great benefits. And like, it is amazing. Like, you
Yeah.
know, it is a great opportunity that like they're paying for like all this stuff. And you're also giving this huge commitment to them. Like, you know, it's
Yeah.
like, it is a payoff. Like, I mean, it is a trade-off, and you're not going to
Yeah.
come back the same. Like, you know,
Nope.
John got hurt there real bad,
Yeah.
right? You know, I don't remember how many weeks in, but when he came back, I remember he was just, like, he was jacked, and I was just like, holy crap, like, this is military John.
It's a sacrifice.
And, like, yeah, and he would have to start all over
Military
to go
John.
back. Yeah. Yeah, but it was just like, you know, to think, like, if I want to go back to this and, you know, give that same sacrifice again and get all the benefits, I got to start over. Like, like,
but also what people don't tell you, regardless of if you choose to go to the military to do school, even for folks who decide to go to college and, you know, end up doing like community college and then transfer, right? It still takes on average a person 6 to 8 years to complete undergrad because of the cost of loans and like people taking a year off to work to then pay off loans to then go back to school. You know what I mean? Like it takes people on average 6 to 8 years to finish your bachelor's degree. That's crazy.
Well, then there's also like, you decide, well, you figure out like, you know, maybe your specific degree program isn't perfect for you and like you need to like take a different kind of course, but that's only offered in this spring semester and like, you know, like, or this cycle doesn't work and like whatever kind of stuff with the way that courses run and then the way that you have to pay for that. Like, you know, like whatever it lines up to be, it's just inconvenience lining up with, you know, your life coming in the way first.
Yeah. But that's the thing though, is like when college is selling college to you, they're only selling you the 4 years. They're selling you that experience of, oh yeah, like you're just gonna like live on campus and like read your books in the grass when it's sunny with your diverse ass friends. And it's just like, LOL, nah. That is not the case. But I mean, it could be the case for some.
I feel like it's the case when you come straight out of high school and it's, you know, this is the first time you're leaving your parents' house and this is your real freedom that you're just experiencing and like it's a whole new experience for you and like everything's great and euphoric and then the next year you realize how horrible the world is and how many loans you have and like, you know, it just kind of like that kind of
reality check.
But like, if you start college after, you know, that gap year, I feel like the rose-colored glasses are off and you're just kind of like, oh yeah, the world, I know it sucks. Like, you know, it's like, here we go. I'm going to make college my bitch now. Like, yeah.
But I did appreciate how when you said like, what do you think about college? And he was just kind of like, you know, obviously like there are certain jobs that you need to go to school for, like in the healthcare industry, you know, like being a nurse or like something like that is like, you literally need to learn the actual practical skills of how to do that. So it's like, yeah, duh, like that's what it's good for, right?
Yeah. Did you hear about the thing they wanted to do? I think it was only in Massachusetts, or it was in a Massachusetts like law that they wanted to like lower the standard for nurses.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah. And it's just like, no.
Hell
People have
no.
to get educated enough to keep us alive.
Facts.
Like, holy shit. Like, I'm sorry that, like, it just gets to the point of, like, where the politicians are, like, and then, like, the people in power, where we're going to hear this kind of stuff in this upcoming interview. But, like, where you get enough power and, like, you're all the way up there in your career and everything's working out for you that you don't see how it's affecting other people and how, you know, your education, it might not, you know, matter how great and smart you are because this other person needs to be smart enough to take care of someone's health.
Oh, yeah.
That's that.
Oh, yeah. Go back and listen to episode 6, healthcare.
Healthcare.
But on the last note, one of the things that John said that really got me, was when you asked him, you were like, "Are you happy where you work?" And he goes, "Is anyone?" I was like, "You're right, John. Is anyone actually happy where they're working?" And then I got really existential, and I was kind of just like, will I ever be satisfied with where I'm working? You know what I mean? Like, I was thinking about this also because I was like, okay, let's say that, like, my day job becomes the things that I actually like to do. Am I going to be happy to do those things? Because now they're work. You know what I mean? But you know how people are like, my job doesn't feel like work because I love doing what I do. And I'm just like, is that even real? Or is that just people selling bullshit to be like, I'm happy? Again, we can talk about happiness a whole nother time. But like that's a genuine question, is like, do you actually like to work regardless of what it is that you are doing for work? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there are people who were born to work. You know, there are people who just love to be busy and people who love to actually just work.
Yeah.
Or who were just made to work. And then there's like, there's a difference between like your job and work.
Yeah.
I guess. Right?
I mean, there's definitely some stuff that I do at my job that I don't really consider work.
Okay.
Like, you know?
Yeah.
Where I'm enjoying myself and I'm still getting paid for it and it's still a part of my job.
Yeah.
And then there's other stuff that I'm just like, holy cow. And then, like, my brain melts into goop and then I go home and I'm just like, where's the freezer?
There are definitely things that I'm like, I should be getting paid for this. This right now is what I should be docking my hours for. And it's mostly emotional labor. Because honestly, at least 79% of my job is, Azeb, can you just be in this room with me while I'm doing this thing? Because, like, I just need your emotional support. And I'm just like, I have fucking work I have to do. I do not have the emotional capacity to be here for you right now because I'm thinking about the 600 emails I have to respond to. But I'm also like, yeah, I have no choice. I have to be here with you because it's my job. But am I getting paid for it? Maybe. Not enough. And worth is another thing we will talk about in season 2.
Oh.
But yeah, Simon, do you have anything else that you want to mention from John's interview?
Yeah. So I just wanted to, like, say a couple things that he did bring up. So, like, one thing was just talking about, like, I might have already kind of talked about this, but manual labor. How, like, you know, usually it's, like, good pay, but, like, working conditions can really suck sometimes. And, like, you know, even I'm not even bringing it to the level of, like, manual labor of carrying things and doing whatever he would be doing at Home Depot with, like, boxes and whatever's heavy. But even when I was working at a haunted house and we would have to work the animatronics or, like, the puppets or getting into the box to, like, shake it and, like, open and close the lid of the like, so that the chains would rattle and scare the shit out of people when, like, they'd walk into the creature room. Then, like, I would walk out of there and, like, sometimes I'd come out and see my knees getting all, like, bruised up and shit, and then, like, your hand might get caught in that kind of thing, and it's just like you're using your body to get work done, like, instead of sitting at a computer and typing away. And, you know, you get to go home and you don't have any bruises. Like, and that's, you know, I was working at a haunted house. Like, I'm not carrying things. I don't have to sign a waiver for, like, a liability. Like, working construction, you know, a flying piece of concrete could come and kill you. Like, it's just anything could happen. As, you know, as much as it's like 6 people are standing around watching the hole could explode. Like, yeah. So, always keep in mind whenever you're watching those 6 people watch a hole, the hole is watching you.
Ooh. Alrighty, let's take a break. Hey.
Howdy.
So we just want to take a second to thank you so much for listening to us and to remind you of a few things.
1. Please follow us on Instagram at The Freitae Effect, on Twitter at TFEpod, and like us on Facebook.
2. Spread the love and share. Friends can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, follow on SoundCloud and Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio.
3, we want to hear from you. So we accept all forms of feedback and affirmations, or if you have something that you want us to discuss that you find interesting, you can email us at thefreitaseffect@gmail.com.
And last but not least, go to patreon.com/thefreitaseffect and subscribe to become a patron, or make a small donation to help us continue producing this podcast, because you know why?
Because the shit ain't free.
Alrighty, let's get back to the show.
And we are now back from the break.
Yay! Okay, now we are going to feature our second interview from my girl, Heaven. Founder of Heavenly Cosmetics, an Eritrean woman who's a badass bitch, and we love her. So, here it is.
Hello. Yellow.
Awesome. Okay, so we are here with Heaven. Hi, Heaven.
Yellow. I'm Heaven.
Would you mind introducing yourself?
Yeah. So I'm Heaven. I grew up in Boston. I am Eritrean, and I have a online cosmetics brand, which is all natural, which is just about a year in. Totally separate from anything I studied or whatever, but we'll get there.
Dope. So what did you want to be when you grew up?
Good question. So I started off from 3rd grade up until I want to say 9th, wanting to be a journalist. I wanted to do investigative journalism. Wow, why did I just develop an accent from somewhere? Anyway, and then eventually I decided that I wanted to work more closely with foreign policy, and so I wanted to work for the State Department. Yeah.
Why did you want to go into journalism?
Ultimately because that's really funny, because I was really into geography, and I knew that I wanted work that would allow me to travel. I really was always a strong writer, and I loved to write, so I enjoyed the concept of that, and I also like the idea of getting to hear people's stories and kind of just be in a different experience something from someone else's perspective, and especially things that we only get to see on TV. So that's ultimately what made me want to do that.
Cool. So did your family have any influence on that at all?
That's actually funny. No, not really.
No,
they didn't. No.
So when you were growing up, you were like, yo mom, I want to be a journalist.
Yeah, she hated that idea. She was like, that's terrible, please don't do that.
Did she ever say why?
Yeah, no, because I wanted to do badass shit. I wanted to go to Afghanistan. I wanted to be in the middle of the action. Yeah, no, it's actually funny because I've always been into the action.
Yeah, that's dope.
But more so from trying to understand perspective. So I really liked the concept of being in all the action, but getting to hear people's stories and all that was just really, and being in a different place. All that is really exciting to me. So
word. And she was just like, nah, because it's dangerous.
Exactly. You know how it's your mom.
Yep.
She was like, not happening.
Facts. Facts. So did you end up, did you do college?
I did do college.
Okay. Did you study communications or no?
No, I studied political science and then Arabic because, again, I started
you were you were going to do it.
Yeah,
You were dedicated.
Yeah, no, I was going to do it.
Okay.
But what's funny is that it actually really transitioned because I started off wanting to do journalism, but remember, I transitioned into wanting to go into politics and foreign policy specifically.
Mm-hmm.
More so because I realized that I wanted to do less of the reporting and more of the influencing. I didn't want to, just talk about the policies. I wanted to change them and, be a part of that. Mm-hmm. So that's where that came from, and I really started doing a lot of research, but involving myself in politics a lot more. So then I also felt like language acquisition was super important to that. So I was all about it. The second I had the opportunity to take certain language opportunities, I've never passed on a language opportunity.
Cool. Do you speak other languages?
Like, I've had a lot of exposure to other languages, and I've had the opportunity to, like, practice certain languages. Like, I studied abroad in Morocco for a short period of time, which enabled me to, like, practice the Arabic that I was learning, but also because it's funny, the thing with Arabic is that there's so many different dialects, so it's like I got exposure to a totally different dialect than what I was previously studying, but I also got to see the connections and all that, which was fun. And then I also studied abroad in Germany, so that gave me the opportunity. I mean, I had to take German courses, and it was actually fun because it's like you realize how similar it kind of is to English. It's like it's like a lot of the words are either identical or like you take all the consonants and put them in a blender, and there's like So I felt like it was just two total like extremes in that regard. But like I loved Spanish classes, like those were always fun. Like I definitely will want to take like Portuguese someday, just because like the proximity. Like, languages, like, my mom speaks 5 languages, so, like, language is something that I think the one consistent theme here between, like, the journalism, the foreign policy, and even later on business is just it was, like, a means of communication and, like, learning people and, like, understanding it's a people thing.
Yeah. And I think also, like, in other countries, like, language is just, like, more prioritized.
Yeah.
Other than, like, America. Like, for us, all we care about is English, and everywhere else, they're like, well, we need to communicate with each other, so, like, we need to figure it out.
Exactly. I feel like the fact that America's so big really takes away from, like, a lot that other countries, I guess, that places like Europe have the ability to do.
Yeah. Cool. So, all right, so you went to college. Did you graduate with political science degree?
Yes, I did.
You did?
I did.
Cool. And so after school, what were your plans like afterwards?
I was at a crossroads because I said, you've got to make a really brave decision to either pursue a master's, which I was actually going to do in Germany because I loved my study abroad experience so much. I was like, okay, either I'm going to do this or I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to fully invest in this business. But what you can't do is both at this. And you really got to make that decision, and you got to make it now. So I made a decision to go ahead and, like, invest fully in my business. Or, like, creating that, outlining it and doing everything that, like, startup requires of you. And said, you know what, maybe somewhere down the line, I'll go ahead and I'll still pursue an MBA, maybe in Germany, maybe not in Germany, like, that's definitely not off the table or anything, but at the time it was like you can't do both, and you just graduated college, and like like that post-grad crisis like you go through. So it's like, even though like I'm presenting it as something super urgent, and someone else could hear this and be like, it's not that deep, bro, but it's like when you're in that moment, it really does feel that deep. So that's a real thing. So serious.
Yes. So like, okay, so then how do you feel about like school in general?
I'm super funny about school because it's like I'm all about being educated. I don't know that physical institutions are the place to do it. I decided to go into business versus like continuing education and like pursuing politics, ultimately because I was honest with myself, and I said, look, government and business are the same. One is public, one is private.
Facts.
And one serves you, or one, actually technically neither serve you, but one could potentially serve you, if you play your cards right, and the other, based on your identity in this country, is just not gonna work in your favor if you don't find a way like outside of it. So I was just like, government, no. I can do that after I've acquired the capital that, could take me further. That's the one thing I learned from Trump. It's like, fuck that nigga Trump. Yes, but also, you heard that, Trump? Fuck that nigga
y'all
Trump.
Heard that.
You know the vibe. Just fuck Trump all day, every day. But no, that's the one thing I really did take away from that, is that, like, you really don't need to know shit. Like, if you just have the right capital and, you know, present yourself. You don't even have to present yourself in a way that's pleasant. Like,
No,
you see the man that runs this country. Yeah, so it's just like once you have the capital, you can do anything. But like as a black woman in America, it's gonna be really hard to be like, hey guys, listen to me because I have great ideas.
Right?
They're like, fuck your ideas and actually fuck you altogether and fuck your rights. Actually, you shouldn't even have rights.
Literally.
So,
yeah, there's like a quote somewhere that's like the most underappreciated species of human is the
Is it
the
an
black
Angela
woman.
Davis piece? Because I feel
Most
that sounds
likely.
really familiar, and I actually really love it.
At the end of the day, everybody knows. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I feel
well,
like
not everybody, but I mean, we
know.
know.
We know. We know.
We out here.
Facts. Yeah. No, I don't
Yeah.
feel like a lot of people are honest about that though.
Nah, but I mean, carrying all the weight, whatever.
That's right.
And our own.
I don't know if it'll pick these up, but we're
Pick up the
snapping.
snaps, we're snapping. Word. Thank you for that. That was fucking awesome. Okay, so school's overrated, obviously.
Facts. You do not need to know. Listen, my mom didn't have an opportunity to like get a formal education, and she's the smartest person I know.
Yep.
Like, and that's on so many levels. Like, so I don't feel like not having validation, like documented validation, you know, does much. And I know a lot of dumb motherfuckers who like, you know, wave their diplomas around, and it's just like, that just tells me you're disciplined and that you do what people tell you to do and you do it on time, or, you know, but that doesn't really speak to your intelligence. It just speaks to your ability to, you know, do what you got to do.
Yep.
So,
Yep. So are you saying like, even though we like feel this way that like you don't necessarily need a formal education to like be successful, right? And you're still considering going back to school, what's your reason for like going back?
And that's the thing. It's like if I do go back to school, I really don't see it being for anything like government related. Like it would literally be for an MBA, and it's to acquire the practical skills that it's more to me. It's like those are vocational things. Like it's a vocational practice, and so there are practical things I could take away from that, you know, like I suck at marketing, like I fucking suck at marketing, and the program that I was looking at specifically caters to, you know, e-commerce and digital marketing for e-commerce businesses. So I'm like, okay, I could totally use support in that department, and if I can sharpen my own skills, I won't necessarily have to rely on a set staff in this period of, you know, my startup period. So it's more so for that, and I do like to learn, especially if I can use the skills. Like I also consider like I would possibly even go into like cosmetic chemistry, because the thing is the only thing that's stopping me really is the fact that I'm gonna be moving to a factory soon. So it's like I won't need to produce these things anymore, but at some point it would have benefited me if, I mean, obviously I didn't see myself going this direction, but had I studied organic chemistry or something like that, it could have very well been useful in what I'm doing now. So
cool.
Shit like that. But that's totally not what I'm doing. Totally not what I'm doing.
Organic chemistry?
Like, fuck that. Like, I feel like organic chemistry is what's wrong with the beauty industry, because I'm just like, honestly, like, there's too many chemicals that we shouldn't be using. Like, that's the problem. Like,
keep it coming.
But yeah, that's for another day.
Oh yeah, Heaven will be back.
She will be back. I'm over here like inviting myself like a BRB.
Oh, we will bring it back. Awesome. Yes, I love that. Yeah, because most people, and honestly, most people say like it's better to go back to grad school once you have life experience. So that makes a lot of sense. But it also just shows you that like when you're in the world, you are still learning. You know, like. You're really learning. You're learning more because you have to apply the skills that you've like been taught, right?
Right.
But it's like people have to let you fail, you know.
I feel like, and that's the hard part of being Habesha, is that they don't really want to let you fail, and like it's protective, but it can be hindering, you know. But Habesha probs.
Yep. Okay, so how do you maintain your business and then also, like, live? Like, do you have a part-time job? Like,
yes.
How does it all work for you?
So actually, I'm now transitioning. Like, I still work like hours in hospitality and stuff here and there, but I actually just left working a lot more hours. I was a lot more committed in hospitality, and that industry makes it really hard to focus on the business, honestly. So that's ultimately why I'm leaving it and going to work for a study abroad agency, actually.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm a huge advocate for, immersion and travel and shit like that. So, and also there's more consistency there.
Mhm.
So, granted, I'd be working a lot more. It's also like the stability is what I'm after, because in hospitality, it's like your schedule's constantly rotating. You're constantly taking hours that you never agreed to. Like, anything can happen at any time. And there's no planning your life around it. So that got really intolerable. So I'm excited for the transition.
Yeah, like just more stability so you can actually have like a routine and focus kind of situation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because I feel like once I have a stable routine, then it'll be a lot easier for me to like not feel drained. But the constant changing, like, it's funny because growing up I was always like, I hate routine, but now I'm like, I need a fucking routine.
Seriously. Well, it's different when like there's a routine being imposed on you and then you creating your own routine.
Right.
And that's what school was literally like, here's a structure, and then all of us graduated and it's like, oh shit, there's no structure. Life is in your hands.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you had boundaries that were set for you. Like, you had freedom within your boundaries, but like there were boundaries for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Word. Awesome. Okay, yeah, that's relatable content.
I'm glad.
Okay, so do you have like, how everyone's always like, what's your 5-year plan? Like, do you believe in the 5-year plan? Do you have one of those?
I believe in a loose plan. Like, I don't set like hard, cold, like step by step everything. I mean, I do have step by step processes, but like I leave space for changes and fluctuations. One, because like you could really block your blessings thinking that something is an obstacle and it's really an opportunity. And that's something I've experienced really early on, and I'm just like, dog, had I taken it easier, I would have saved myself so much grief, because everything played out exactly how, like, better than I could have anticipated and better than I could have planned. And so learning how to just like chill out and ease up with like the changes that occur, because sometimes they work in your favor, and even if it doesn't seem so, like, it can feel like such a fucking inconvenience at first, but like really, really yields the most effective results. So plans are cool.
Yeah.
But I say don't beat yourself up if you don't arrive at a certain area. As long as you're at least trying to make moves forward, like, you're golden.
Yep.
But I mean, my plans, I do have plans. By the end of the year, I do want to be in a factory.
Yay.
Yeah, ideally.
Speak it into existence.
Thanks.
Yes.
Ideally, and like, so I mean, I've built a relationship with one in Toronto, and like that should be moving along pretty soon. And I don't see myself necessarily, like, I don't want to have, a lot of people ask me, like, do you want to have a store? And, like, the answer is no, I don't want to have a store.
Okay.
Because then that's annoying. I got to deal with, like, rent and all these other costs. And it's not necessarily the financial part, but the administrative part of, like, running that. And in a time where that's not necessary, like, most people who are really, like, makeup fanatics are going to makeup stores because they want all their shit in one place,
Yep.
So to me, it's like I can save myself a lot of grief and, like, saving myself, like, the cost of my own personal staff by, like, trying to get into stores. So the next 3 years I do see committed more so to, I mean, making direct sales online, but ultimately getting into, like, smaller stores, like local stores. And I mean, someday, obviously, I'd love it to make it into a bigger store, but I'm being reasonable about, the speed of that, and not just that, but, like, all the administrative stuff that goes into it, because, I mean, like I said, I suck at marketing, so it's, like, also accounting for, like, someone who can take care of that, and, that plays directly into the success of the business.
Yeah.
So that's where I do see myself making some big changes very soon. And yeah, as long as everything else goes as planned, I'm golden. If they don't go as planned, I mean, we'll improvise, you know?
Yeah.
But we're not quitting.
We are not quitting. We are not quitting. Yay! Okay, I love it. Do you have any like special announcements or any kind of like new products that are coming out that you want to shout out and like let people know?
So you know what's funny is that I was selling them at the you were there, I think.
I was there.
Yeah, you were there at the relaunch, and I was selling them exclusively at the event. Was those lip glosses?
Yes.
Which actually have right here. This is.
Yes.
I'm not gonna lie. Like, I haven't started actually selling them online or like through any funnel, but this is legit. Like, I'm not gonna lie, my favorite product,
Yay.
like that I own. Period. Like of anything, like, is my lip glosses.
Okay. So wait, which one is this one that you just whipped out? She literally just whipped out her favorite lip gloss and applied it to her lips. Just letting y'all know.
I was just like, that was a reminder. Like, these ones will be available very soon online. I'm gonna keep you guys posted. Just make sure you're following Heavenly, HVNLY.
Yes.
No vowels. Heavenly _ cosmetics on Instagram.
Yes.
Follow up on all those updates.
Yes.
If you subscribe, you do get a free CBD chapstick. Tell them about that CBD chapstick.
Yo, I use that shit literally every single day, and my lips are so soft.
That's right.
Yes.
Look it up.
I literally just like perch my lips like y'all can see them. I'm dead.
I'm like, blow my kiss, sis. Blow my kiss.
Like, that's it.
She blew one, guys.
That one's for y'all. That's cute.
LOL.
Word. Okay. Awesome. So at Heavenly Cosmetics on all socials.
On all socials.
And then, do you guys have a website?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heavenlycosmetics.com.
Beautiful.
Okay, get your highlighter today. They look great on every single shade. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that's really impressed me with this brand. Like, dude. And I'll like obviously like show you this some other point. But like, any shade can wear Bellissima. Like, it's
It's the one.
It's nuts. Yeah. It's really. Anyway, so I have 5 shades of highlighter, right? And so like I named them after a term of endearment in the language of like places that I'd traveled to. So one is in Eritrean, which is Chocorina. One's in Spanish, which represented Spain, which is Bonita. Italy, which is Bellissima. Güzel, which is Turkish, and then there's another that I'm missing.
Is it a new one?
No. I said Güzel, Bellissima, Bonita, Zwina, and that's the Moroccan dialect of Arabic, which is called Darija. Yeah, and terms of endearment. So like beautiful or lovely or something in that sort.
Yay. I love it. Wonderful. Okay, well, thank you so much.
Thank
Heaven.
you.
Everybody
Azeb.
go buy Heavenly Cosmetics. She has beard oil for you niggas.
Woo woo, CBD
So,
infused.
Get it together.
Stimulates growth. Okay, you heard it.
Yes.
I'm just saying. Carotene. All
Heard
day.
it.
You heard it here first.
Yes. Word. Do you have any parting words that you want to share with them or no?
I love you all.
Yeah.
And you're all doing great things, and I'm very proud of you.
Aww.
And if no one told you today, you are enough.
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Round of applause.
That's right.
Love y'all, and thank you.
Bye.
And we're back.
Wow.
So, Simon, thoughts?
Yeah, I loved Heaven's interview. Let's just break it down. I really liked how she talked about her dream wanting to be like a journalist and like wanting to go to like action and like into the war, like Afghanistan, because that brought up the whole like danger thing and like, you know, her mom not wanting, you know, her to go out into these dangerous places. And that reminded me of our mom not wanting me to be a vet. For the reason of like, or when I told her that I didn't want to be a vet anymore, she was happy because she was like, oh, well, you're not going to be around all these like dangerous chemicals and like dirty needles.
It's
and
so
like stuff
funny
like
how
that.
like the immediate thought of Habesha moms is like, what is the thing that's going to cause me the most anxiety that is going to put your life at harm?
Yeah.
Like, you could literally be like, Mom, I'm going to be like helping babies be delivered. Oh my God, you're going to be like, your arm's going to get attached to the placenta and you'll never be able to get out.
Yeah.
Like some random ass shit like that. That's not even possible.
Dude, seriously. But yeah, so that reminded me of like that Ethiopian mother thingamajiggy. And then also how she talked about how her passion for journalism was kind of lost when she realized that it was less about like writing other people's stories and more about influencing people. Like I really liked that. And how she went to college, became poli-sci major, and then talked about languages and how English is just a bunch of languages put in a blender. Like that's so real. Oh my God, yeah. And then like foreign policy, I feel like that is something amazing to study because like knowing other countries' policies, like it's like how John was talking about like knowing the policies for Massachusetts isn't going to help him build his house when he wants to live in North Carolina.
Right.
Like, you know, it's like when you want to be able to go other places and survive around the world, then like you got to know about the outside world. Like that's that.
Yeah, it's all contextual, but you know, as Americans, we feel like we're entitled to only knowing about what's going on here because, like, why would we ever care about what's going on around the world?
We are so important.
We are not global citizens.
Yeah.
Even though we are the melting pot of other
pot.
people. Whoa! Want some? No, I don't have any even if I wanted
Pans.
to. Even if I wanted to.
And
Yes.
I also liked the post-grad crisis. That was real fun.
Hey yo, it's not that deep, but it is that deep.
I'm like, it is
It
that deep.
is that deep,
It is
sis.
literally your whole identity. Like, you go from your whole life being like, I am a student, and then they're like, no, you're not. And then you're like, wait a second, since I was 5, I've been a student. Then they're like, well, no, you're not. And then you're like, what if I want to be? And then they're like, your choice. And then you're like, oh,
You're like, it's up to me. It's up to me.
oh, yep.
Yeah.
And yeah, being educated, Trump. So you don't really need to know anything. You just need money.
Money,
So,
please.
hence, please donate to the podcast.
I was gonna say it, but I'm glad you did. You know, shameless plug as we keep going.
Always.
Yeah.
Yes. And most importantly, something that some big things that she said. I feel like they might be most important just because like I resonate with these like the most now.
Yeah.
Maintaining like when she was talking about maintaining a business and like just kind of living in general.
Yep.
Having a routine.
Yes, sis.
That is so real. When I didn't have a job, when I graduated, I was, you know, I worked at the Bach Center as the acting teaching assistant for the summer.
Yeah.
And then I had the haunted house job. And then I didn't have a job for a few months. And I had nothing for only like, well, for like 3 months. Like nothing.
I know, man.
So you just days becomes fucking rocks rotating around
They really
rocks.
do.
Like, you know, it's just enough. It's horrible. And so like having that routine really helps. And then also,
I mean, to this day, I feel like I'm still creating my routine.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I have a job.
and it changes.
You know what I mean?
Oh
Like,
yeah.
And it evolves, and like it's just a part of growing up and adulting is like figuring out what routine works for you and just like trying different things and just trying to be consistent with the things that are good for you that you like.
Yeah, and
You
finding
know?
the times to put in like the things that make you happy in your routine and not just putting the things that you think you should be doing because should is not a word that you should have in your vocabulary.
Oh my god. Motivational Mondays.
Is it Monday, Azeb?
I don't know what
it
day
is.
it is.
Not Monday.
It's a day.
It's so part 2. So another big thing that she said was talking about like working off the changes that occur in life, and how like plans aren't always the best. So like that was a big thing that I learned when I was working at the homeless shelter. people would like plan their lives and like, you know, something horrible would happen and then they would end up being homeless.
Yeah.
And it's just like one person that they trusted, or like one investment that went fucking horribly wrong, or like one bag that they forgot on a bus. Like, you know, it's just like one thing that could happen, and then your whole life turns fucking sideways.
Yep.
So it's like, it's not really about moving your version of forward. It's about just keeping moving.
Yep.
And like, yeah, like you can plan your life, but it's better to just set goals and be like, I hope to attain this, and wherever you get along the way, like, you know, it's like the whole shoot for the stars, land among the clouds, and then just keep fucking flying. Like,
Okay. I don't think I've ever heard that before.
Because I just said it.
Wow.
How about you? How you feel, girl?
She said a lot of things that I really resonated with, and I was just like, yes, that's my girl. I love when she was like, my mom is the smartest person I know, and she didn't go to school. And I was like, bet, let us know.
Damn right.
And so when she said, you know, documentation, like having a degree, just means that you're disciplined and you can like get tasks done, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're intelligent. And I was just like, wow, words. Let the people know. Because we're put in this system, right? And we're just taught you have to be somewhere on time, you have to pass in your homework, you have to put your name on a piece of paper. Sounds like doing taxes to me. Be somewhere on time, submit this piece of paper with your name on it, and all this other financial information. Even though we never really learned how to do taxes in school, they're pretty much just teaching you how to fill out paperwork, which is the basics of surviving in America is an administrative job. Or just the basics of a job, showing up on time and putting your name on a timesheet and getting your piece of paper and leaving. You know what I mean? You don't need school to do, like, you don't need a degree to know that. But that's what the school system is basically teaching you. Less sigh.
Less sigh.
But I did want to follow up on a quote that I tried to say and I totally butchered horribly. Because then I went back and I actually did some research. So I'm gonna give you this live time fact check.
Lifetime.
Not lifetime. Live time.
Live.
So it was, in fact, Malcolm X that said, the most disrespected woman in America is the black woman. The most unprotected woman in America is the black woman. The most neglected woman in America is the black woman. So just wanted to let y'all know that's the reference I was trying to reference earlier.
When you were saying it in the interview, then I just heard it in like the Beyonce Lemonade video.
Yeah!
Like,
Because that's where I got it from.
Yee.
Even though I should have just known that anyways, but whatevers. So yeah, I just wanted to fact check myself because that's an important thing for y'all to know. Because it is an actual fact. Lived experience.
Yay.
Hello. And we laugh. Because if we cry, we fall.
If we fall, we burn.
If we burn, we die. And that's not what we do.
Not today.
Not today. Death.
Tomorrow.
Never. Forever.
And never.
I'm gonna stop now. But going back to the topic of Habesha moms, when she was talking about how, like, you know, Habesha parents are very protective, right? And how being like having protective parents can be hindering, because they won't let you fail. That's a real thing. You know what I mean? Because especially being an entrepreneur as herself and as us, right? And whoever is listening. I mean, honestly, all y'all have the potential to be entrepreneurs. Like, everybody is in charge of their own life. Anyways, I'm not going to go there. Being an entrepreneur is all about taking risks, right? And with risks, there are rewards, and there are also fails that come with taking risks.
Yeah.
So when you have overprotective parents that don't let you take risks, then you're succumbed to this life of boundaries, and you're not encouraged to step outside the box and be creative, right? Or to take a chance and see how something goes and just go with the flow. You're stuck to this like rigid way of living, and you know, this way that's just this or that. You know what I mean? There is no or. You know what I mean? It's this and that. Whatever. Yes, and
Oh my god.
sorry, I had to say it. So I thought that was important to bring up because if you have an entrepreneurial mindset and you're trying to go about, you know, your life against the formula of, you know, school, marriage, house, etc., right? Nothing against that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are trying to like in your 20s or whatever, literally any age, at any age, you could be 65 and be like, I want to start a KFC. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's kind of the story of KFC, I think.
Let's start
If
it.
you want. But there are so many stories about like, you know, like people who dropped out of Harvard or whatever, like Zuckerberg or like Steve Jobs who made Apple, or like all these people, like Oprah doing what she does. There's something about Oprah at like 23. She like failed and then became a
Oh yeah,
you know
like
what I
she
mean?
got fired from an internship, and they were like, "You suck," and then she was like, "I'm Oprah."
And then she was like, I'm Oprah,
Yeah.
LOL. But there are plenty of stories of people who are extremely successful that have non-traditional career paths.
Tina Fey,
Really?
Walt Disney.
Okay.
Yeah,
These are just people.
I saw
Anyways.
it on a meme.
You could be one of those people.
It could be you. Go fail.
No, for real though. Sometimes you really have to fail really hard
Yeah.
to
Hence-
like get slapped in the face and go in the direction that God made for you.
Yeah. I mean, look at like what was my intro like 6 episodes ago. Like I was failing hardcore at work. Like
Yeah,
you gotta fail, guys.
You gotta
like,
fail hard sometimes. Yeah. And you gotta recognize in those moments of failure, what was I doing? Or like, how did I get to this point? Right.
Mhm.
And then you have to actually just start listening to your intuition. Instead of fighting it, don't go against the grain of your intuition.
Can't grow if you go against the grain. Don't be rice.
Hashtag don't be rice.
It's like, don't be rice, y'all.
Yo, hashtag just don't.
Don't.
Not just do it, just don't.
Just don't.
Against Nike.
DBR.
I think we like Nike though, right?
Don't be rice.
Just don't be rice. TBR. And of course, I did also appreciate that, you know, she said that she's still working while she's pursuing creating her business, right? But the thing that I really appreciate about how she's choosing to spend her time is that she's working, doing something that is intersectional with her interests, and that is also going to help her moving forward if she does ever want to pursue going back to school in another country or something, by what she said was working with a study abroad organization, right?
Yeah.
And especially because, you know, I just love to see like when people are being intentional and thoughtful about where they're spending their time, and they understand their worth and the worth of your time and the value of your time and your energy, especially when you know the skills and experience that you bring to something, or the potential and capacity that you have to bring to something, right?
Yeah.
So I just love to see when people actually know, okay, this is what I want to do. I'm going to do that while I'm also focused on this, you know? And not just being like, oh, my life sucks. I'm going to work at McDonald's and then just never do anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like nothing against working at McDonald's. Sometimes you have to work at McDonald's so you can save up and do whatever, right?
Yeah, but you can't see like the whole, okay, well, I'm going to work at McDonald's and that is my life, and this is all I can do because the world sucks.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you can't blame the whole world on sucking. Like, it's always gonna suck. It has never not
Facts.
sucked. Like, the world always sucks, guys. World breaking. It sucks. But like,
Newsflash!
bam bam, sucks. But even if your life sucks and everything sucks, eventually
Sometimes everything sucks.
there's a little glimmer of light, like way down the street. Like way down the street.
When you think you see a stoplight.
And you just gotta keep running down the street. And as much as you fall and scrape your freaking knees, you gotta keep getting back up and
Yes,
go to the light.
absolutely.
Because eventually, if you don't, the light's gonna go away and you're gonna be like, oh my god, I'm stuck on this freaking street. So like, don't get stuck on the street, guys. Find the light.
Ooh, I like that. Speaking of finding the light, I just wanted to talk about this one itty bitty 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 bitty
Itty
itty bitty
bitty.
aspect of when you are kind of doing this like non-traditional path, right? Typically what I've noticed from people who I know that are creatives or who are going down these routes that are against like societal norms, right? They're usually very like faith-based people or very spiritually connected people, because if you don't have like hope or like faith or a vision or something that is keeping you going while you're doing this, then how are you ever gonna believe in you? Like if you don't believe in something that is gonna like some higher power of some sort to help you get through this, it's gonna be real dark and it's gonna be real hard, you know?
Yeah.
for me, like, I have this conversation with Faith. Coincidentally, her name is Faith. Often just about how, like, imagine if you really thought that the world was run by human beings and not by, like, some kind of, like, other higher power that can absorb all of our energies and shit. But, like, that's just me imposing, like, my thoughts. Like, just imagine not believing in anything, Simon.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I'm just...
I have imagined it. Like,
it's scary.
Yeah.
Imagine living in the world, not knowing, just thinking that, you know? Because then it's like, how do you believe in anything else if you don't believe in something? And how can you
question it.
Exactly. So you just question things, and then you never get anything done because you're just questioning.
I mean, you get done whatever you want to get done. Like, you it's a more self-based life, you know?
Yeah. That's not the life that I'm living, though.
Yeah.
You know, it's also not the life that I was taught and raised to live. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that if you choose to live a self-centered perspective, I guess. But because, you know, we grew up in a household where everything was very community-based and give back and be selfless and give your everything to others.
Selfless.
Like, to literally give your whole self.
Like, you are the community. Like...
Well, the community is you also.
Yeah, because
we
you're
are
a part
one.
of it. Like,
That's how I
you
know.
are the pie piece. Like, everybody's the injera. Like,
you need guarsha now.
Guarsha.
Anyways, yeah, there's that level of connectedness, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to throw that out there. Just that idea of, like, obviously you can be an entrepreneur and totally be, like, an atheist or something. You know, like, those people exist. But I'm just saying the people who I've seen who have been incredibly successful and reap the benefits more, and it just feels more fulfilling, are people who are thoughtful and engaged in the world as a whole, rather than I need to pursue this venture so that I can get money out of it. You know what I mean? Like, rather than being driven by capital, you know, being driven by change or being influenced by impact.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rather than influence on impact for dinero.
Ooh.
So those were my thoughts.
Big thoughts.
Baby thoughts.
Baby thoughts.
I don't know.
Ooh.
Little thoughties. Okay.
Thoughties. Alrighty, Rue. Well, moving on to this next segment, we have a research article that Azeb has so graciously brought for us. Would you like to introduce it?
Yes. So this article I read a long time ago this year. Was brought to you by California State University, something like that. And there were some points in it that I found really interesting because it was talking about the value of a college education. And it was talking about that from the perspective of, you know, if you're educating first generation, low income, people of color, right? We want to make this is what the article says. We want to make sure it's not only a private good changing the generations of their families, but it's also a public good lifting the communities, right? And I just thought that was interesting because it's like, okay, so you as an institution see that investing in this demographic of people obviously helps these individuals, but it also helps that whole sector of people, of low-income people, people of color, and first gen, right?
Yep.
So it's like, you are literally, by choosing to invest in this demographic of people, already making a massive impact with the value of a college education, right? But then they go on to speak about how the real value of a college education is obviously more than just financial quantifications. But like the skills that you actually take away are critical thinking, communication, character development, opportunity to achieve personal goals, and for the chance for a student to change the trajectory of their life. So obviously this article is very pro school, right? And we wanted to include that perspective because we both went to college and it has done that for us, you know? But we also wanted to make sure that all perspectives were included in this and that we recognize that you don't have to force college on every single student because everybody has different learning styles. Everyone has a different path that they want to take. You know, like it shouldn't be college or bust. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like everyone should have the option to like, and the space to think when you are 18 years old and you're a senior in high school to like think, okay, college is not my only option. You know what I mean? It's like you can take a year off. You can go to the military. You can go to like beauty school. You know what I mean? Like there are so many options. You could start the business that you want to start. Yep. Right? There are resources and opportunities everywhere. You just have to open your eyes to see them instead of choosing to be depressed and sad. Or, you know, sometimes you just are depressed and sad and like that happens, you know, that's real.
And everyone's oppressing you.
And that's because of, you know.
Yeah, because they were probably oppressed, but like, you know, learned behavior. But fight back.
My last point that I did really, really appreciate about this article was how they talked about institutions need to be more accountable of what they're pushing on society, specifically like higher educational institutions, and being more considerate of the needs of the workforce, being more transparent on the financial side of what an individual is actually sacrificing when they are signing up to like apply for school, you know, because, you know, you know the word loans and you know the word debt, but you don't really know it until you are in it, fam.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. When you like actually have a concept of like what things cost and you're just like, oh God.
They don't tell you about the interest.
They don't tell you about that. Well, they do tell you, but then you're like, what's that mean? And then you do some math and you're like, woof.
Yeah, you realize that the interest is really like you're paying twice as much as how the loans actually fucking cost. And then you're like, oh, this is cool. This is fine. Yeah. Oh, it's late even though it's sent on time. That's cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But one thing that I want to talk about that was driven home in my life in college and in high school when I went to a private school for 2 minutes, was the idea of networking and how networking, honestly, if you're first gen or whatever, like for anybody, to be honest, is the true value of being at a university. The access to professors and the people that they know, and then the people that you meet through like your internships and the people that you meet in your classrooms, like you never know who's going to be who when you graduate, right? So just networking as much as possible. And I know networking is also like such a trigger word. Even for me, people are like, ooh, networking event. I'm like, shoot me. Because I hate networking. Because typically networking is for like, it's for white people. But it's also like, it's just like in spaces that don't feel comfortable. You know, it's like, you know that everyone here is like here to meet people.
Yep.
But nobody knows how to have a conversation. And like, you know that like, it's going to be an ingenuine approach, right?
Yeah.
So for me, the way that I've learned how to navigate networking is I've chosen to do more one-on-ones because I know I'm better in those settings rather than going to like a networking event. Or I'll go to networking events where I know that like there will be people that I know, or that there will be people who are in an industry that I am like an expert in, right? So for example, there's an organization in Boston called the Network of Arts Administrators of Color. So like I usually go to their events because I know that there are going to be people of color, and I know that there are going to be artists of color, and I'm like, I am two of those things, so I can probably relate to those people. So I'll pull up to those events and I'll be like, oh, hi, you're here for this thing, cool. And then I'll usually see people that I know, right? And then those people will introduce me to people that they know, and that's how you network, right? Or you can, if you're interested in working somewhere, right? So for example, if you're interested at working at like, I don't know, Boston University, I'm just throwing stuff out here, and you worked with somebody who, or like, you know, somebody who like went to school there, right? And you're just like, oh, like, do you know anybody in this department, right? Just asking around. First of all, asking around is step one. And then maybe they'll be like, yes, I actually know somebody. Let me hook you up with them. Okay, word. That's step two. Then they do this email back and forth. They give you their number, whatever. And then you guys set up a coffee date. You have a coffee date. You talk. Networking is literally dating. Yeah. It's the same thing, just less cringy.
Sometimes.
Yeah. And it's not always going to work out. Sometimes you'll meet people and be like, oh, I was not into that at all. Or you'll meet people and be like, wow, I really hope that we keep this connection, you know? And you just like have to learn how to follow up and whatever, etc. So yeah, I do have a resource I wanted to share that is about networking for introverts. So there's this Instagram that I follow called poc.lifestyle, and one of their boss tips was how to network like a pro even as an introvert. So 1, mentally prepare the night before. So pick out your look, prep your business cards, write some affirmations to yourself, hype yourself up, be prepared. 2, don't try to talk to as many people as possible. So choose a few key people that you know are going to be at that event and like go approach them, right? Instead of being in a room and being like, I need to talk to every single person in this room. You want to make genuine connections with people when you go to these things. LOL. I'm just realizing like I'm speaking as if I wasn't like co-lead of Habesha Networks in Boston, a whole networking organization. 3, you can start the conversation, like don't be afraid to be like, oh my God, I like your shoes, right? And you can just have a conversation about that. Like your conversation doesn't always have to be like, hi, my name is Azeb and I work for this organization and this is my whole life experience. It's like, no, you could be like, oh, like where'd you from? Like where'd you grow up? What's your favorite color? Like, find what you have in common with these people. Go deeper than small talk. Exactly what I just said. You don't have to talk about the weather. You don't have to talk about traffic. You don't have to talk about sports. Because is that really going to make a genuine connection with you and that person, right? You can just be like, oh yeah, like I dance. Or, oh yeah, like I like to cook. Whatever, right? And then maybe you'll find something interesting about that person and write about that in the thank you note later, which I'm going to get to in 2 seconds. Bring a friend or a wingman / wingwoman or wing person. Because if you have somebody who's extroverted with you, then that's less energy you have to spend talking. Mm-hmm. And then while they're doing their thing, you can just like hop in there a little bit, Especially if you just don't like to like approach people, like that's scary. Usually I don't even approach people. I just sit in the corner. I wait till someone sits next to me. I'm just like, I know someone will ask me a question at some point. Okay, and then the last tip is be the queen of the follow-up. So send a friend request, send a short and sweet DM via LinkedIn or social media, whatever works for you, whatever information they changed with you. Just be like, hey, it was really nice meeting you the other day. Hope all is well, etc. Whatever. Or like, I remember you said this thing, and I thought it was cool. Yeah. So those are my tips for being a networking introvert.
Ripped right off of someone's Instagram.
Okay, so that's like totes the end. Simon, do you have any announcements? Before we take the keys.
Yes, I do. So when don't we take the keys first?
No, I want to do announcements and then take the keys because I have a really cute key to take.
Fine. I'll announce. Announcing Simon Freitae. So when I was interviewing John, then after I shut the mic off, then he and I got to talking, and he actually told me about this place in Everett. It's a cosmetology place. It's called Flavia Leal Beauty School, and they give good, cheap haircuts. So we were talking about cosmetology, and that's another career path that I've known people like, they go to beauty school after college, and that's usually one-time payment. Like you have like a degree with like good work, and like, it's pretty consistent. Like you can move anywhere in the world. There's gonna be fucking hairstylists. Like,
people are always gonna need a hairdresser.
And then you never know where you're gonna end up, because our uncle Nicky ended up doing Britney Spears' hair and getting Azeb got the autograph.
I have Britney Spears' autograph pre-2007. So like we're gonna share that photo with y'all.
Heck yeah,
because that is one of my prized possessions, and it hers.
Yeah.
I also wanted to shout out another friend who is also a barber. He's an athletic trainer by day, barber by night. His name is Jeff Saluk. And his Instagram is at @the_cut_by. And yeah, he cuts hair. So if y'all are in the area and want to be his client, hit him up. I don't think he has any idea that I actually was going to shout him out. So Simon, key takeaways? Yes? No?
I guess my key takeaway: take the key, put it away, lock it in a box. Wait, you can't because the key is there. Okay. So, I don't have anything too specific. I feel like we had a lot of really good points. I guess, like, don't compare your career path to anyone else's. You know, like, just stay true to yourself. Like, it's really not about where you are right now, or, like, you know, and it's not about where you end up. It's just about keeping the ball going. Like, if you stop and you give up, that's different than stopping and settling. Yep. You know, like, giving up, you take whatever you have and it's never going to change. Yep. And you're choosing that. Like, as much as the world can suck and, like, things can happen and life is horrible and everything's on fire, everything's always going to be on fire. Global warming is real. But, like,
what episode was it?
I think it was like something
17?
Yes. No, that was the news.
16.
I'm gone.
Oh my God.
Changes. But yeah, so just stay true to yourself. Don't hurt yourself.
Don't hurt yourself.
Be real. Don't stay in one place. Keep moving. Do things.
Dude, just keep saying the titles of songs and I'll just keep singing them. Yeah, so my key takeaways. Y'all, for real, take it easy on yourself, okay? You are probably doing way better than you think. So stop succumbing to imposter syndrome. I need to take some of my own advice as well. And just remember, people are rooting for you. Your name is being spoken in rooms where you don't even know, but they're saying great things about you. I guarantee it. You are brave for showing up every day for yourself and going against the grain and choosing to invest in yourself.
Don't be right.
And showcasing your own unique skills. # don't be right.
Don't do it, guys. Don't fucking do it.
All right, fam. On that note, we hope that you feel inspired and loved. And let's do this motherfucking sign off. Okay. Be sure to like the episode, share with friends, and follow us on social media. Subscribe and comment on SoundCloud. Follow on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you stream us.
Email us or comment on social media. Or leave a review with any feedback, affirmations, or topics that you want to hear on the show at thefreighteseffect@gmail.com.
Thank you for listening.
And have a great rest of your week.
Ciao.
Bye.